time. Now let's go to the actual LHC schedule for 2017, and you're going to see something that's very interesting and suspicious indeed. Now, like we already noted, throughout much of 2017, the machine is actually not even on due to the technical stop that pretty much occurs throughout the first 4 months of 2017, and then around the same time as you see right here, right around 5/1/2017, which is a hella day for
This is
CERN. We're going to
guys.
be talking more about their hella days and why they're so important and significant. Also, around the time is the Feast of Beltane too. They start recommissioning the beam. And as you can see right here, the recommissioning pretty much lasts for about 3 weeks or so, and then they go towards the interleave commissioning and intensity ramp up. So now they're ramping up the machine around the time of ascension, ironically enough, and then right after Wit, according to them, towards the end of spring and the beginning of summer is when they actually start the machine. Now, just so you could get a better idea of what these colors actually mean, the green right here means they have a technical stop whenever that is. The light green talks about a recommissioning with beam. The orange is the scrubbing. The blue is the machine developments that they have. And then the red right here is a special physics run. Now, once again, I'm here.
It appears that they're putting together some kind of laser that's supposed to be very powerful, destructful
But note what happens when you get to the summer and midsummer. So we see right here towards the beginning of the 7th month was their first technical stop. And then right after that, the light green right here represents the recommissioning with the beam. So that means they turned back on the machine for a period of about 2 weeks. And then they had their second machine development. Now, what that means with the machine development, according to CERN, is that they're testing new beam instrumentation, evaluating the machine's effectiveness in exploring proton use when we know better than that. But then note how the machine stays on all the way up through much of the summer and even throughout September. And we're going to be talking about this also later on. But notice how the machine stays on all the way until September 12th. So right after Hurricane Irma. And again, I'm not sure if anyone else noticed this or caught this, but I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention because then, right as of September 13th, so basically this entire week, they have a machine development for the week, and this is their third one where, again, they're testing new beam instrumentation. But then, right after that, so on the 18th through the 20th, now please keep those dates in mind, September 18th through September 20th, because that is the exact same time as the CERN Awake collaboration meeting. They have a technical stop, but then on the 21st and the 22nd of September, they then have the recommissioning where they're turning back on the machine. And then guess what day the machine is on? September 23rd, 2017 is when the machine is turned right back on. Is that a surprise or coincidence? Now, does that mean, end of the world September 23rd? No, it does not, but I found that very interesting and suspicious indeed, especially when I tell you why that date is so significant. But then note how the machine pretty much stays back on for the next month and stays on all the way until October 22nd, and then on October 23rd, they go into their fourth and final machine development for the year 2017. So this is where we are right now here at September 15th. They're at their third machine development right before their meeting before the 18th and the 20th with CERN Awake collaboration. And then once again, the machine will recommission, and barely 11 days afterward on September 23rd is when the machine will be ready to go. Now, I told you to keep those dates in mind, September 18th through September 20th, because that's when the Awake Collaboration Project meeting will be meeting, and then the exact day after that, when the machine is recommissioned on the 21st and the 22nd, not only does that coincide with the fall equinox, but it also just so happens to be the International Day of Peace on September 21st, courtesy your favorite UN. Oh my goodness. forgiveness. And it says right here that each year, the International Day of Peace is observed around the world on September 21st. The General Assembly of the United Nations has declared this as a day devoted to strengthening the ideals of peace, both within and among all nations and peoples. Now, it's interesting because the theme for this year is Together for Peace, Respect, Safety, and Dignity for All. Hello, did you hear that? Do you see something very eerie about this? The word peace and safety in the exact same sentence. What comes after that? And what are they promoting? The spirit of togetherness and coming together, just like what? Coming together to build their new world order. That's what this is always about. And they just so happen to be celebrating it as of this morning. And then 2 days after that, when the machine, the LHC, is back on and fully operational again after an 11-day rest, will come the Revelation 12 sign, as I've noted. And you're going to see the woman is going to be clothed with the sun. The moon is going to be under her feet. She's going to have 12 stars above her head right here. And she's going to be pregnant with child. And I've done plenty of videos covering this. Now, another thing I also wanted to note about September 23rd, 2017 is that not only will this be the fulfillment of the Revelation 12 sign in the sky, but it's also going to be the day when all of the stars align, the major stars. And you're going to see the star alignment, as I've also noted in previous videos too, how they're all going to line up right here, and even stars, all major stars that comprise the so-called solar system. Why is this so important? Is because there's been a whole lot of predictive programming, and you're going to see how all of this relates, including CERN, and why you should be concerned indeed. I've gone over this in my major events from 2017 video, which I'll be sure to link in the description box below, but I wanted to bring it to your attention once again because this is very important, and you're going to see how all of this connects and how all of this relates, because it's a message, and they're foreshadowing and bringing and communicating messages subliminally. I'm going to show you their subliminals, but this right here is one of them, is their holidays, or should I say holidays, their official holiday list for 2017. And as you can see right here, from the time of the 5th of the 6th month all the way up until December 25th, they only have one celebration that they claim to celebrate right here, and this is the Genevan fast, that's written in French right here, that was celebrated on September 7th. But besides this one, they go a full 6-month period without one. Now, as we noted earlier ago, right here is the fast and when it takes place, as you can see, according to the LHC schedule. Now, it just so happens that all throughout last month, when the machine was turned on and cranked up and ready to go, that 2 hurricanes hit, and it was Hurricane Harvey.
Now I will contact the government,
also Hurricane Irma. No surprise or coincidence there.
Find out specifically what the hell they're doing.
Right during the time when
this is something that you guys need to be aware of. You need to prepare for, and you need to
and like I said,
let others know.
Now they're in their machine development.
Okay,
then,
this is the stuff that I would be protesting if I was a protester,
all the way up
because this is crazy.
Will be their technical
this is government dollars going.
Which will be the UN International Day of Peace, ironically enough, is when the machine will be recommissioned right in time for the fall equinox, and then on none other than September 23rd, 2017, which will also be the fulfillment of the star alignment in the Revelation 12 sign, the machine will be cranked back on, ready to go for throughout much of October and pretty much all of November too, before being stopped once again towards the end of the year in December. So we see there's a whole lot of CERN activity for the months of September and October of 2017. Now, like I said, just last week they celebrated the Genevan fast, which is listed right here. And this is throughout the canton of Geneva, Switzerland, which occurs following the first Sunday of September. So we see on September 7th as of this year in 2017, dating all the way back until the 16th century. But as I also talked about in my previous video a few months ago, it began before St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, as it talks about right here. It says that the fast began around October 1567 as a sign of friendship with Protestants undergoing persecution in Lyon, France, and this was most likely the first Genevan fast. And then 5 years later, news of the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre and the slaughter of several thousand Huguenots began on 8/24/1572, which triggered a fast throughout Geneva on the following 3rd of September, which could be why the date of yearly fast was shifted back by almost a month. It's also no surprise or coincidence that the Reformation period began exactly 500 years ago, back in 1517, and there's going to be celebrations for this year, actually.
Ooh,
As
wonderful.
we noted in my other video and our previous video, but then we also noted too the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre and what it's all about, and I'll be sure to leave this in the description box below too, so you can also take a look at it. And now you're going to see how this relates to judgment and CERN's involvement along with the Vatican, and how it relates to the end times and the deceptions of the end times, and how CERN and the Vatican, they both play a role, they both go hand in hand to bring about what? End time deceptions and delusions, which we're going to talk about. Because the message behind what you just saw with the Genevan fast is that the St. Bartholomew's massacre, St. Bartholomew just so happens to be depicted on Michelangelo's painting from The Last Judgment that's right here, which is a depiction of the second coming of the Messiah and final and eternal judgment by all for all of humanity.
They're
and
busy,
where
guys.
is this
They're
located?
busy.
It's located in the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican itself. Now here's a picture of it. As you can see right here, this painting is right here. This is where Bartholomew is depicted in the painting, right in the lower half right there. What does this have to do with America specifically? What does this have to do with judgment? Well, now I'm about to show you, as I've also gone over before in one of my other videos when I just talked about this, and this comes back towards the beginning of summer when Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel has been recreated at the Oculus in New York City. And this is when a series of Michelangelo paintings from the Sistine Chapel were featured in New York City at the Oculus, as we talked about, near the World Trade Center, reminding us of what? 9/11, here we go again. Now the installation ran, note the number 23, on the 23rd from 6/23/2017 all the way until 7/23/2017, but don't worry, it hasn't left because it's actually in Paramus, New Jersey, and it's still there in September. Now, some of the paintings that it shows is the creation of Adam, but also the depiction of what? The Last Judgment, which also depicts Bartholomew, which also has to do with the Genevan fast, as we just talked about, and link that connection with CERN and the Vatican. Do you see that? The Last Judgment. Are you paying attention to the timing? Note the timing of all of this and what time we're really living in, the end times. Now, as noted earlier, once again, you can actually see the exhibit right here in Paramus, New Jersey. Now, it began as of September 1st and is scheduled to stay there all the way until October 15th of 2017. So, ironically enough, around the same time that the LHC will be in full gear, actually. And according to this one report, as we just noted, it was in New York all the way from 6/23 to 7/23/2017, so basically 2 months before the sign on September 23rd, Revelation 12. But then, right after New Jersey, it will be moving on to Sacramento, Los Angeles, San Diego, Seattle, Chicago, and Annapolis, Maryland. At least it's scheduled to move to these places all throughout America to represent and foreshadow what? Judgment coming to America. And
now get excited, guys. It's coming your way.
Straight out of the horse's mouth. You're going to hear it from themselves, and I'm going to let you listen to CERN and what they have to say and why you should be concerned indeed. Now, many other channels have made note of this, but I also would like to make note of this and show with you and expose to you CERN and what they're really trying to do. And note the subliminals. I'm telling you, this is all subliminal. Everything that the elite do and the Illuminati do, it's all subliminal. It's a message behind it. You're going to see the message of CERN and what it is that they're really trying to do.
Message behind
now,
what they want to do.
Now, this was a presentation that was done at Arts at CERN, and this was conducted back in the spring of 2017. There was an art presentation that was given, but this is what they have to say when it comes to art and how they look at art. Again, note the subliminals.
Where else? Cassandra came at Christmas and took some photos, and you look at them and you are ému. You are sort of moved because they contain worlds within the simple photographed item. You can see things that are there from reflection in the grass. You can see a ladder that goes to heaven. You can see a ladder that goes to heaven. You can see a ladder that goes to heaven, and it's sort of like for me it was like a picture that shows the devotion of most people who work there. Of course, it's like every other workplace in the earth. There are all kinds of people, but there is such a majority of devotion to the projects that it's sort of sublimination de l'environnement. So you can see several of them where you have the impression that it's like the end of the world as we know, the end of the world as we know, the end of the world as we know, the end of the world as we know it, and there is one item left there, almost hanging in the air. So I work at CERN so many years, I never noticed all these things are so beautiful. And this is the last one. Which was also when the lab was closed and 2016 was ending, and it was written by somebody, or was you? Somebody? We don't know. On the window, I think you can see how an artist can bring out beauty of the things we see and we just don't know.
Now, if that doesn't concern you, this will, because
this
here
is so
we are at the 2017
It's so beautiful that we could
Bilderberg
get up
meeting.
millions and
Now, if you can
millions of
recall, back towards
people.
the spring of 2017, we talked about this. Now, in case you're unfamiliar with the Bilderbergs or the Bilderbergers, they're basically the team of elite who come together to do what? The team of Zionists to talk about their plans of what? Depopulation, Operation Depopulation, Agenda 21, UN Agenda 2030, how they plan to populate the plane and enslave the human population. You can also look at this with the Georgia Guidestones also, and it's ironic too how they met in Chantilly, Virginia. But who else attended this meeting? That's right, the director of CERN was also at this meeting and attended the Bilderberg meeting that was barely 3 months ago. And this is in the G, so Fabiola Giannotti was there, the director general of CERN. But if you keep scrolling down to the K's where we have Henry Kissinger, Kissinger was also in attendance. Isn't Kissinger the same one who openly talked about depopulation and openly talked about depopulating the plane? Isn't Kissinger the same one in the same exact room as the director of CERN, along with all the other CEOs and the elite of all these other companies and alphabet soups and banks and whatnot? What are they really talking about? What are they really getting ready for?
You need to call these people.
And of course, when it
You need
comes
to find
CERN,
out.
we
You need to
cannot forget
dig,
the notable statue that's right
find
outside
out,
their
put
building,
pieces
which
together,
was the
synthesize,
Shiva statue.
come
And of
together,
course, they claim,
decide
oh,
what
it's
we
just
can
a gift
do.
from
We have to
India,
have a
and, oh,
plan.
it's nothing
We have
more.
no plan.
But we know darn
We
better
just
than
out
that.
here
And for those of us who are
radically
awake, just
going
like
through
their
life,
Awake
no
Collaboration
plans,
project
and
that
they
meets
know it,
next week,
and
we
they're
know
coming down on us.
exactly what they're
We
getting
got
ready for,
to
because it
come
is
together
behind
somehow,
the
some
Indian
way, and
idol
get a
of
plan
what?
together
Death
and coordinate how we're
destruction.
going to
You see
attack
that it
these
looks like
people
what? A
that go and
portal,
have
an
Bilderberg
archway,
meetings
a gateway,
about killing
the
us.
opening of
So
portals, the opening
think
of
about it,
future
guys.
dimensions. And
What
why are
can
they
we
trying to
do?
open these
Seriously.
other portals? Because they're using the LHC
Time
and
is
all of
running
these
out.
other particle acceleration.
We ain't got time to
all
waste.
The other ones like Alice and Awake Project and CERN. What
Action.
are they actually
Action
doing? They're using
needs to
these
come
things
down.
to
Action.
awaken and give access access to the other world, the spiritual realm, the realm of the demons and the fallen ones, to bring about the giants. And that's what they're doing. And you actually see this in scriptural prophecy too, about the giants returning. And this is one of the many ways of how they're going to return. Through CERN technology, through the capping of the New World Order, through the opening and the access and the gateways to these portals. And that's what those scientists at CERN are trying to access. They're trying to access
billions and billions of dollars gone to these
world of demons, to let in the fallen ones and to let in the giants and the Nephilim of what they're doing. And you're actually going to see that in one of the films that they actually made called Symmetry, ironically enough. And again, note the subliminals. Now, in the trailer itself, they actually do the Shiva dance, which represents what? The dance of destruction. It represents what? Destruction, order out of chaos. Once again, the capping of their new world order, as we're slowly but surely already seeing.
The dancing. Actually celebrating this crap. Unbelievable. Really.
Now, it's just so interesting because that movie CERN Symmetry actually aired and came out in 2015 along with the trailer. But I've also noted this too in one of my videos that I did covering CERN back last year in the spring of 2016, where there was also a ritual done showing a daredevil motorcyclist riding at high speed at an unseemingly impossible angle around a frozen lake in Russia. Now, this ritual just so happened to take place somewhere in a Siberian lake in Russia. And again, note the similarities to the trailer. I'm just going to scroll down and show you the pictures, how it shows the motorcyclist traveling around in the ice, taking a spin. Once again, this is what? Taking a spin, trying to access doorways, portals. That's what this is all about. And they subliminally show you the rituals and how it's being done and how it takes place. It's all subliminal. Note the circle, note the eye of Horus, the eye of Lucifer, the all-seeing eye. Once again, the capping of the New World Order. That's what all of this is representing. That's what all of this is foreshadowing. And notice here too the spirals that were created, which of course reminds us of the spirals of the CERN logo too. Do you see the similarity? Do you think this is a surprise or a coincidence? I don't think so. But now we're going to take a look at some of the CERN's predictive programming, because once again, the elite love putting it right in front of your face. But for those who are asleep, it's like having eyes wide shut because the truth is right in front of you. Now, the very first reference we're going to reference is right here, where you even see a statue that's very similar to the statue of Shiva that's right in front of the CERN's building. And you see right here, it even has what? The all-seeing eye symbolism right there. And also note how it's a hologram. Now, this comes from Simpsons. And this was shown in season 23, episode 9, interesting choice of numbers there, which aired on December 11, 2011, entitled Holidays of Future Past. Now, some of the themes in this episode have to do with time travel, teleportation, CERN, as you see right here, and advanced technology.
If I was you, I would contact the Simpsons because they seem to be very knowledgeable about what's going on in the world and find out deeper as to what's going on, and why are they doing all this stuff.
Now, not only do they show the Shiva statue right there, which of course
and can it be stopped?
References CERN and destruction, order out of chaos. Now, another interesting thing to note about this episode, because once again, it's 30 years into the future, it also shows a pregnant Maggie Simpson, a pregnant woman with child. The episode also shows Maggie contracting as she's about to have a child, and it even shows the hospital scenes too. Now, it's interesting because this episode alludes to birthing, and it alludes to such not only with Maggie, with a woman with child, but also the same thing when it comes to Christmas, because we know that represents the birthing of the false Messiah. And we see that all over when it comes to the elite and the Illuminati, even when it comes to Beyonce and the Lemonade video, when it comes to what? Birthing and the birthing of the New World Order, birthing of the satanic reign. Now, another interesting thing about this episode is right when Maggie is about to have the child at the Springfield Hospital, they quickly show this scene, and it's very quickly, but it shows right here the devil with the horns, the dragon going into this building, which is the Montgomery Burns Institute for Soul Extraction, which of course immediately reminds us of what? The dragon around the same time with woman pregnant with child, Revelation chapter 12. The same sign in the sky that we also went over that talked about what? The Jupiter, the king star, Sadak, righteousness, being pregnant in the womb of the Virgin, or the Virgo constellation, even as we speak. I just thought it was interesting that they would put a dragon right there, or the representation of the dragon, Satan, the devil. And they also make references also to the Star of Bethlehem, a manger reference. It's all embedded in this one episode.
And Simpsons.
And we know what's going to take place on September 23rd, 2017, not only the fulfillment of the Revelation 12 sign, but also the aligning of the stars quite perfectly. And it's interesting, too, to note that September 23rd and the period of the 23rd, 24th, and 25th is exactly 9 months following the Christmas period and the winter solstice that takes place normally in December towards December 21st all the way up until the 25th. So we see again that 9-month period, which represents what? Birthing and contractions. Now, will anything major happen on September 23rd? No, of course we're not saying that, but it's important to know what time we're in and to discern the times we're living in, regardless if things start happening 2 seconds from now or even 2 years from now. We need to know exactly what they're telling us subliminally. Now, there's another scene that I thought was very poignant and very interesting and suspicious indeed that's in this episode. It has to do when Bart asks Lisa to come up to the treehouse, and then he brings down a rope to let her up. Now, the episode itself actually shows her being pulled and lifted up, again, representing being lifted up, ascending. And this automatically reminded me of the latter reference in CERN about what? The Tower of Babel. But then, once Lisa Simpson is lifted all the way up, this is what shows. It says Cookie Kwan Realty, #1 in the western sky. And if you pay close attention, note how it's a hologram. So we see the holographic technology. This is a reference of what? Project Bluebeam. CERN is in this episode too. We see that it's not a surprise or coincidence. It's what? CERN Holographic Realty. And we see that this realty is a play on words, reality, because what's going to become the reality? CERN and chemtrails. That's why they're spraying all of these chemtrails, because it's a way to get ready for what? Project Bluebeam. That's another way that they're doing this, which is what? The alien deception. This is just another
Project
subliminal
Bluebeam.
sign of how they're getting ready
Wow.
for the end of the world conditioning with the
See,
alien
it's all coming
Project
together.
Bluebeam, and the release of the Giants. And we know CERN also plays a role with their technology, and the CERN technology using holographic technology and holograms to project what you think looks real, but is it really? Now, another episode that actually directly comes right from CERN and predictive programming is right here in this Simpsons episode that aired as of season 24, episode 2, and it aired as of October 7, 2012, entitled Treehouse of Horror 23. And as you can see right here, it even takes place at the Springfield Subatomic Super Collider, which of course is very reminiscent of CERN. And just look at the building and how it's laid out. Even in The Simpsons right here, it's the shape of a circle, which is the same circular shape of CERN itself. And here's a model of it, as you can see it right here, no different. Now, in the actual episode, you see right here what appears to be the LHC, or the Large
If we're
Hadron
not supporting our
Collider.
own destruction,
Now, in the
isn't this
actual
amazing
episode,
how they just
actually
got us
show
in this
the
bubble?
particles, and they show two particles that collide into each other and go wrong, which in turn creates a black hole. Now, in the episode, Lisa decides to take the black hole home, and she tells the family not to feed it anything because the black hole sucks up things into it. But of course, the family refuses to listen, and then soon enough, the black hole starts to suck up everything in the Springfield area, to the point where pretty much everyone in the town is sucked into the black hole, everyone except Maggie. But interestingly enough, the episode then shows towards the end of this first part, because it's split up into 3 parts, the family on another so-called planet with so-called aliens. And we know the truth about planets and aliens and who they actually are. But I thought it was very interesting and suspicious indeed that The Simpsons would even allude to this, and on the other side of a black hole, they would show the side of what? The spiritual side of things. And also in the episode is also mentioned along with portals, black hole references, and the destruction and how they wreak havoc over the town. And the showing of what? Portals, black holes, doorways, gateways into other worlds, into other dimensions. Is this what CERN trying to do? Is this what CERN is trying to access when they do these particles? What are they really accessing here? Doorways to destruction. And it's also interesting and suspicious indeed, because at the very beginning of the episode, they also mention what? And allude to the end of the world with the ancient Mayan prophecy, as you can see right here. As the beginning of the episode continues on, of course they mention the end of the world and when it's supposed to be according to the Mayan calendar. Now there's another reference that I thought was interesting to add to this one, and that's from the movie The Number 23, just like this episode is Treehouse of Horror 23. But in that movie, they also make the reference how 2012 is 20 plus 12, which makes the number 23 when reversed. I just thought that was interesting to note, just like how I also thought was very interesting and suspicious indeed how the episode continues onward into the future around the time of now, how at a Halloween party, Homer answers the door, and this is what he receives. He sees these giant Mayan statues that are at the door, reminding us of what? The return of the giants, the return of the Nephilim. And what you're going to see is that, yes, this is scriptural also. Scripture also talks about the prophecies of the return of the giants. And of course, when they return, all they do is wreak havoc and cause destruction on the earth. But how will they return? That's where CERN comes in when it comes to the extra worlds and when it comes to the portals and the gateways.